Hi everyone, this is Robbie with Warriorspirit-teachings, and I'm so glad you found my channel today. If you haven't liked and subscribed, definitely do that. I want to get started today with a quick prayer for all of us and to clear the space. So I'm just going to light some sage here. All right. Tinkashala, thank you so much for this day. Thank you for all of my experiences. Thank you for my family, my friends. Thank you for the people that have joined me today in this video. I ask that you help all of us to stay strong, safe, healthy, and happy during this time. Help us in any areas of our lives that we're struggling. And I pray that all of us will be able to see the light in one another and to be able to give each other love and compassion and understanding during these times. To love our differences, to accept each other, and to come together as a united people. Thank you, Tinkashala, for everything, for the beautiful day, for everything. Thank you. Matakyo Yase. Just going to put this out real quick here. All right. So today I actually would like to talk a bit about kind of the theme of my video is, the title, if you clicked on it, you saw it, We Are One. So today I just want to talk about that concept and about us as a whole people, as a human population here on planet Earth. And so, when I'm filming this, I'm kind of referring to stuff that's happened in the last few months. I mean, it's 2020 now, 2021 now, but what I was trying to say is 2020 was a tough year for a lot of us. All of us as a whole. With everything that went on and just kind of all throughout history, there's been quite a struggle between people of different races and nationalities, and it comes down to the skin color. And it's so sad that we've had such a struggle throughout history, and even till this day, there's still that segregation, that separation between people because of skin color. So just start with myself. So, I look pretty Caucasian, don't I? I look pretty white, but I'm actually enrolled in the Cheyenne River Sioux tribe. And it's quite funny because my sisters, they have dark hair and dark eyes, and they look a lot more Lakota than I do, but we all have the same blood quantum. So it's just due to my genetics that I took more after my father's side of the family, which, Kramer is my last name, and Kramer is German. And so, just because of genetics, that's, where I lean to, and that's why I have, blonde hair and blue eyes and lighter skin, So that's kind of always been kind of a interesting struggle, kind of a little paradox is, I've always been really drawn to my Native American heritage, to the Lakota people, and just learning about their way of life and the traditions and their belief system and stuff of, my ancestors. And so that's actually the belief system that I adopted, is the Lakota way. And actually in college, I ended up taking a minor, but I took so many classes because I loved it. So I was like really close to making it a major, just needed a few more classes, and I would have had a major in Native American studies. And so, it was really great to take those classes and really learn about things, from the language, the culture, to what life was like here before the U.S. government started. Also about that whole hard time, where the U.S. government came and took over the lands and, put the people in forts and, just took away and destroyed their whole way of living. And, there's a lot of pain, and there's a lot of sadness and suffering and sorrow that comes with that. So by me like talking over it fast, I'm not diminishing any of that, because that was awful. But also too, though, it's not dwelling and living in that situation to try to like look into it and actually try to help heal kind of that generational line. Try to look past that and to look at all of us as a people, regardless of what happened in the history and what happened between different races and, different colors of skin. So that's kind of, that's the point of this video. And so, I'm not going to go down that path, but I just kind of want to like also, kind of tell you guys about, how even my mother, she's more, she has like a higher blood quantum of, Native American blood than I do. And so she, she has, the higher cheekbones, and she has, kind of the nose, and she has dark hair, but she has green eyes, and that comes from like her French side, that heritage. But, and then she has like a bit fairer skin like I do, but, she was really like treated poorly growing up, and, kind of bullied and like shunned in a way, because she was of mixed blood. And it's so sad to kind of hear about those stories of, kids growing up in the Indian schools, and if they're not enough Native American blood, if they're not 100%, then they're bullied and treated like shit. And it's just really sad. And, and that kind of leads me into one of the greatest people I probably have ever met in my life is Floyd Hand. And he was a Lakota elder and a medicine man. And he just really had a special place in my heart, so that's why I smile and think fondly of him, because he taught me and my family so much. And he's no longer with us. He passed away, but it's like his teachings and his energy, like his spirit is just still with me, it makes me smile. So I was just going to kind of mention a little bit about him and different things. So yeah, Floyd, he's, 100% Ogallala Sioux, or, and he was a medicine man. And so he taught us a lot about like the Lakota ways, the traditional ways and the ceremonies, and just so many stories just about life and just lessons. And I mean, he just shared so much knowledge and wisdom with us. It was absolutely incredible. And whenever I was around him, I soaked it up like a sponge, man, because that was just, to me, it was just like the knowledge that he carried, and then his energy and his presence. It was just so, beautiful, you know. It was so powerful. And he had this really powerful presence where he wasn't a loud, like obnoxious, loud-spoken man by any means, but he just had this this power about him that he just controlled everything in the room, you know. Like once he started speaking, everybody toned down, and then, you know, listen, all eyes and ears were on him, and he just, you know, he commanded respect without even trying, you know. And yeah, and one of the greatest things I think that I learned from him is, you know, he was a direct descendant of Red Cloud, Chief Red Cloud, and, you know, and he was taught the old ways and everything, you know, and how to lead ceremonies and everything about becoming a medicine man. And he had so much like tolerance for people in general. To him, it didn't matter what your skin color was. He didn't care if you weren't 100%, you know, Native American. He didn't care if you're a fourth or less, or hell, if you're even, like, he'd have some people coming over to come and join in the ceremonies that, you know, came from Germany and shit. They didn't have like a drop of Native American blood, but it didn't matter because it was in their heart, and that's what mattered. It was, they had the love and the respect, and they wanted to learn the Lakota traditional ways. And so he brought them in with open arms, you know, and he included them in the ceremony, and he taught them his wisdom, and you know, adopted them into his family even. Like, Floyd was so generous, and he was so loving and caring, you know. Even for as, you know, strong of a man he was, he still had that, you know, very accepting, loving, nurturing qualities to him. And so that was probably one of the best lessons that I learned from him, you know, is to really, like, you know, just accept people for who they are, no matter what their race is, no matter what their color is, that it was all inclusive, that everyone was important, that everybody mattered. And, you know, and so that's just, you know, just a little bit of a story, but, you know, like, what I think is so important is, like, now, it's important now that we come together as a whole, that, you know, we all unite and we come together, and that we can, you know, love each other, you know, for our differences, love each other regardless of our differences, you know, regardless of our skin color, the blood quantum, you know, our religious views, whether we vote Democratic or Republican, or whether we don't even vote, you know, our income, our status, our popularity, like, all of those things, it's just differences in who we are, but it isn't what we are. That isn't what makes us. At the end of the day, we are all human. We are all connected. We are all human beings of this wonderful world that we're living in. And, you know, it seems there's so many times, and especially now, that, you know, it's so easy. It's like to be pegged against one another for our differences. You know, like I was mentioning with voting, you know, there's so many times, and I'm sure you've all seen it, where, you know, the red side and the blue side, and they're so like after each other, and it's so cutthroat. And then, you know, it percolates into people's individual like private lives and homes, and their families break apart because of it. Like, you know, there's times where if someone's voting on one side and the other people are voting on this side, then there's like this tension, and or sometimes knockdown dragouts, you know, fights about it. And, you know, and it's just so sad. Or the different races and the different, you know, colors of our skin. It's so sad. We've came so far as a population, as, you know, as humanity. We've came so far, you know, to break segregation, to break the separation. And I don't want to see us digress, because last year was hard on us, and it's still continuing to be hard. And there's so many things that are trying to wedge in between us. But we are stronger together. And we are all in this together, regardless of our differences. You know, can you imagine what this world would be like if we were all a carbon copy of one another? Imagine if all of us in this world were clones of you. Can you imagine like how boring and how maybe even fed up you get with people? You know, if we were all just alike, it would be so boring. You know, I think that it's our differences that makes it, you know, it makes this world like something to be excited about, to be, you know, to check out something new. You know, all of us have these differences, and I think that's what makes it beautiful. Because, you know, even if there are times that you can't see eye to eye with someone, it's still okay. You know, to just, you know, that classic saying of it's okay to agree to disagree. It is. It's okay if you don't have the same perspective as someone, or the same belief system, or the same drive, or the same idea, or the same, you know, way you want to get something done as someone else. It's okay. And when you're in those times like that, where you're seeing that there's a power struggle, or there's two, you know, big differences and things are coming to a head, like, then that's just asking for you to step back and take pause and to think on it, and to, you know, get away from the conflict, get away from the scenario, and step back a moment to clear your mind, clear yourself of those emotions that are being riled up and being triggered. Like, to get clear-headed. Then you can go back in it, and then maybe you guys can, you know, make a decision, a compromise that works for the both of you. You know? And, you know, it's easier said than done at times, you know, and it can obviously get more difficult in a grander scale of things. But, you know, it's really is all the same. It all has the same basic principles, like I just explained, you know, of if we all just learn to break away from it for a little bit and then come back to it later when you're not emotionally charged or triggered and you have a clear mind. And most of all, where you've let it go and you open up your heart and have compassion and lead with that. So I guess that's just, kind of what I've been thinking on this week, and just wanted to kind of share my perspective with you guys. And it's just so important that we all stick together, that we put our differences aside, that we stick together through this time, to show compassion towards one another. And I'm not saying if somebody has done something really bad to you, to let them in your life, to let it to keep happening to you. I'm not saying to, turn a blind eye and just push it under the rug and act like nothing happened. I'm not saying that at all. Like, there are people that aren't healthy for you and don't respect your boundaries and aren't treating you right, then yeah, you need to stick up for yourself, stand up and say your piece. You don't have to do it in an aggressive, harsh manner, but say how you feel and then back away, move on. You can love people from a distance too. And I've learned that, quite a few different times throughout my life, like the people in my life that we haven't seen eye to eye and we've had falling out, and shoot, unfortunately sometimes a big old explosion, a big old fight, and I'm not proud of those times because it's unfortunate that it has to come to that. But there also comes a time when you're being pushed around too much and you got to stand firm and you got to stand your ground. That's important. You have to have boundaries. All of us need to have boundaries, because when you have a boundary in place, you're able to, you're protecting yourself and doing what's good for yourself, which is healthy. But then that boundary is good for them, because they know too what's healthy for you, and vice versa. It's good for them to have boundaries for you so that you don't overstep their boundaries as well. And and so it's like, if those boundaries aren't being met and you can't seem to still work it out, it's okay to just back off. It's okay to back off, walk away, give the person space and just love them from a distance. So, I just wanted to throw that in there because I didn't want you to think that I'm all let's all have peace and let's be flower children and let's just love each other and get over it, man. That's not what I'm saying. That's not realistic. But what it is, what is realistic is, having compassion for people with differences, carrying that love inside of your heart and sharing it with the world for, your fellow human, for humanity. That is what I'm getting at today, because we are truly one. All right, well, if you enjoyed this video today, let me know. Put a like, subscribe, click the little bell icon if you'd like to stay up to date with me and stay in the loop on my newest projects and my new videos and topics coming up. I do have a lot of good ones up my sleeve, so I hope you do subscribe. And thank you so much for tuning in, and I really wish you well. Wish you to be healthy, happy, and strong. And take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.